I think this space is an ever-evolving one. I think everyone would certainly, agree with that. I think that, certainly the increase, almost exponential increase in regulatory pressure and engagement, across the ESG and sustainability space has been a tremendous driver that is not only, pushing companies to enhance their disclosures and the quality of their disclosures, but really it's allowing, that whole reporting function to really drive and influence internal corporate strategy as well. So it's really been exciting to see how dynamic it is. I think everyone's kind of finding themselves in the same boat where, it's an evolving space. We're kind of all learning together and just trying to do the best we can. I think the, responsibility for ESG and sustainability really has evolved. Almost what at one, and it varies by company, right? In some cases, this function rolls up through the general counsel. In some cases, it might roll up through, an external or public affairs, sort of department. And so that really varies by company. But certainly people are realizing that this is no longer, this isn't all about carbon emissions and operational sustainability. The topics across the E, S, and G pillars really impact corporate governance across the business. So definitely an increase in engagement, across senior leadership. Again, a lot of these issues and how companies manage them impact, organizations and business units across the company. And then certainly at the board level, where they have responsibility for that oversight and that guidance. They're really starting to ask the right questions about making sure, are we identifying, the most material and important ESG issues for the company? How are we mitigating that risk? How are we managing that? How are we seizing opportunities around that as well that can, drive revenue for the company in some cases? The best way to go about, prioritizing, your material ESG issues is, first of all, just get started, right? You've got to start somewhere. A materiality, assessment is foundational to that. Engaging, your key stakeholders, internal and external of the business, right? But also, taking a step back and really, leveraging that concept of dual materiality. So it's not just the impacts that you're having externally, how the external environment is impacting the company, but also looking at the dollars and cents that are associated with that as well. So materiality assessments really are an opportunity to engage parts of the business that you may not traditionally engage with, as an ESG or sustainability function, and help shed light on where those intersections exist. Again, these are issues that cross multiple business units, multiple departments, and affect the entire company because it's all about enterprise risk management. And those issues span, dramatically. So there is, I think, in many cases, an eye-opening moment for these, other departments to go, wow, this really does impact me more than they might have traditionally thought. So certainly, there's an opportunity to build consensus and to build new relationships and partnerships there. There's a lot of education as well to help them understand how it all ties together. One of the benefits of platforms such as Datamaran or, using electronic tools, it can really foreshorten, that process that used to involve a lot of desktop research, a very manual effort, uncovering, what are, the material topics internally that the business, and the departments might already be aware of, but then, looking at, what topics are affecting your peers or others in your industry or other just, corporate leaders that you look up to or benchmark against. And so, again, that technology and platforms like Datamaran can really make that a much easier process. They can also take what used to be a very, siloed event, that companies would undertake, every, couple of years, every 3 years or whatever, and now bring that more into the real time. So you can see the dynamism, of how these issues, move and change in position relative to each other. So again, I think it's really powerful to be able to have access to that data more frequently so that you can use it to make decisions. It depends on the organization and everyone's at a different point in the journey. I think some companies, might need a little bit more help, in terms of just getting started and also thought partnership to help them build a strategy and to, create a program. Other companies are a little bit more mature, but even then, there's opportunities for that thought partnership to get a sense of what are others doing, how could I be doing this better? Like I mentioned, we're all kind of in this together, right? And so, we're on this journey, we're trying to do the best job that we can. In some cases we can do it in-house, in some cases, finding some external help is valuable. I think, consequences if you're not staying on the pulse of these material issues, of these regulatory pressures, of pressures from your customers or whatever. Again, this is a space that everyone's paying an increasing amount of attention to. So it really does come down to risk, and you're putting your company at risk if you're not identifying what these issues are, building a plan around how to manage those, making sure that you have the right governance structures, data structures. I've heard it said that what gets measured gets managed, and so if you're not building a platform that allows you to do that, I think you're putting yourself at risk. So again, it all ties back in my mind to that enterprise risk management mindset. I think collaboration for the ESG and sustainability teams across the business is critical. I think a best practice is to really look at creating some sort of a steering committee or a group that has representation from all across the business. Certainly finance should have a seat at the table, the general counsel, the legal organization should have a seat at the table, procurement and supply chain, but also, the marketing parts of the organization, the commercial parts of the business, because in many ways, ESG issues could represent competitive risk, but it could also create opportunities for the company as well. So I think you have to look across the business. At the company that I'm at, we actually expanded our governance council from 4 or 5 key functions to now a group that represents 15 different business units across the company. So I think ESG steering committees, they really have an opportunity to be a sounding board for those ESG and sustainability leaders that are looking to create a program. So they're there to provide feedback. They're there to ask questions, either from a point of, hey, have you thought about this? Or wait a minute, I don't fully understand what you're talking about, so help me learn more. And there's real value in that, right? And so again, and then I think it also gives you the opportunity to create those synergies or to uncover those so that it's not just the ESG and the sustainability team owning this lock, stock, and barrel. It really does take a village. It takes the work of many. And so there's opportunities to reach out and engage those other business units and get them involved as you move forward toward a goal or toward an initiative. So for the next several years, I think ESG will continue to become even more front of mind than it is. I think companies will continue to understand, how important it is to integrate these issues into, existing enterprise risk management analysis. With regard to ESG and sustainability, shareholders really want to understand, does a company get it? Do they have their arms around the issues that are most material, most important to them? Are they looking at it from a position of risk and a position of opportunity? Are they putting together the right structures and the right management, teams to address those issues? Are they creating goals that challenge them and help them move the needle? Whether that's removing risk, whether it's seizing opportunity, or just reducing their environmental footprint and doing the right thing. So again, I think it's just they want to get a sense of, does a company get it? Do they understand what these issues are? And can they accurately and succinctly convey what they're doing about it?